Have you ever been in that place where you have felt like the vision wasn't being given to you? Your goals weren't clear. The strategy wasn't focused, so you couldn't lead. Well, if you have felt that, please take the time and listen to this episode because it is for you. Our guest today, Kate Pangallo, has built her career navigating that tension, leading through constant change, often actually over and over, without a clear roadmap. And she has had to decide again and again, what part am I going to play? And how do I extend a sense of vision and stability to others when I don't feel it myself? So this is Andrea Butcher. I am your host of Being at Work, and I am so grateful to bring another really compelling episode to you. So please listen in as Kate and I talk about how to find vision when it isn't given to you, why waiting for stability holds leaders back and the impact of that, and the mindset and resilience that it takes to be the victor, not the victim, in times of uncertainty. Kate, welcome to the show.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. What an intro. I feel so honored to be here and just thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, well, it is such a timely conversation also. This feeling of waiting, like, well, I don't know. And so how do I lead? This false expectation that leaders are going to be handed the vision or clarity, that's something that you have faced many times in your career.
I really have. I really have. I think, it's something that tends to follow with me anywhere I go. So I surely can relate to that feeling.
Yeah.
I'm excited to talk more about it.
Well, why do you think, in your experience, why are we expecting stability when we all know that change is the only constant?
Why are we expecting it? I don't know if it's that we expect it or we just have a strong desire to have it, right? Like we just want stability. We think in our heads it's supposed to feel or be stable. I think we're sold a story that, often when you have it and when things are going well and as you get further along in your career, things just level out. It's like a perception or a story maybe we've all been told over time or one we desire so deeply that we tell ourselves is supposed to be how it is. And I think like you mentioned, I say it almost weekly to someone somewhere that like the only constant in life is change. So I think when you can get really comfortable knowing that that's the constant, like that's the thing we should be expecting, and then look at how and where you want to play in that constant of change, that's where you can get some stability.
Yeah, get stability in the instability.
Yeah. Get comfortable being uncomfortable, as they say, right? But easier said than done, obviously. But I do think that we know we want stability. Human nature wants stability. Yes. We want comfortable. We thrive in comfort zones. And the second we have to get uncomfortable, we don't love it. But if you could kind of shift the narrative or change your perspective and thinking about change is not something that's going to rock your boat or pivot you over to the other side and shake it all up for you, and instead think, okay, it's the one thing I can rely on. I can rely that change is coming. Change is going to happen. Change is probably in the next minute, right? If you can rely on that being our norm, then it's really about how you respond, how you react, how you get through it, and what kind of tone you can set that own comfort zone in your brain and your body to kind of work through what comes your way.
Yeah, because in those moments, the thing you always have control over is how you choose to respond to it.
Always.
What you choose to do, the story you choose to tell. And you have been in that place multiple times throughout your career. Mm-hmm. That place of I got to figure this out. Tell us the story.
Oh gosh. Yeah, no, I really have. Thinking back on the journey and the career that I've been on, I came out of college at the height of the recession in 2009, there were no jobs. And the jobs that were out there, everyone with 25, 35 years experience and true expertise was applying for the same role you were as an entry level graduate. And so, just starting off in a place of rockiness and nothing going the way you thought or planned it out to be in your mind coming straight out of college, that's how it started. It was rocky. It was a shaky ground to enter in on. And also as an outset of the recession at that time, just things continued to be unstable. And I was working for a large corporation at the time in a regional office that was brand new. It's a new concept to go into these like regional hubs. And I got into the role, and only about 10 months into it, as I'm hitting my stride and loving what I'm doing, I get on a phone call to cover for my boss at the time and take notes on his behalf. And we'll hear over the phone that my title, my role, the role that I was placed in alongside many, many others, is going to be eliminated. We got to let it go. And we're doing some layoffs and things are changing. And, you didn't have the heads up. You didn't know what was coming. And you're on there covering for your boss. And so that was my first moment of like, I've got to get after. Something's going to happen here. And I had options that I could take. And I decided to put myself out and explore other opportunities because I knew that my options that I really wanted was to commit to being in the location I was in, which was in Indianapolis. I fell in love with the city. I wanted to be here. And so I decided to put my name out there and start the networking process. And long story short, landed an opportunity to go to an organization that was a bit of a stretch on the other side. I had no experience in the industry, but I had experience in the role and the type of job I would be going into. And quite frankly, I was so excited and committed to going to work for the person that was hiring me. Like that was the reason. The other things I was nervous about, wasn't quite sure, as many of us are when we enter into that next phase, but it was the person that I was going to work for. And I got into the role. I did my onboarding on day one. And I was just getting settled, like literally physically sitting in a seat that they told me would be mine and shifting around. And here comes my new boss and my new manager I came here for. And he closed the door and said, "Hey, do you have a second to chit chat?" Of course. I'm a little eager beaver. Only to learn that he had taken another opportunity and was leaving, and knew that, and, was pretty excited for himself, but sad about the opportunity to not be able to work together. And I had made it quite known that I was excited to work with that individual. And so, on goes another change and another like, this was not what I saw coming. I didn't see that. Insert many multitudes of change that happened at that organization, but navigating those things, led me to life changes that were happening at the same time. So it was the first moment for me where we had a change-based organization. You should never feel too comfortable in that environment. I started off that way, so it was my constant. But then the personal side of this started to show up, and the impact to your professional side with personal side going up in flux. So I had everything from the great and the good happening, where I got engaged and was excited to plan a wedding, with a full bomb dropped on me the day I announced, well, not the day, but the week after I announced that I am engaged to my family. My mom gave me a phone call that she was just diagnosed with stage 4 cancer and was given months to live. And so the second again that you thought something was going to be what you thought and you were living this moment, it immediately shifted. And yet at the same time, I had to show up to work and keep being a solid point for a team I was building. And I was given an opportunity to go off and grow. And so I couldn't let it fully impact the stability that I was providing to others, even in a time where my entire life was thrown a complete curveball. And that didn't end. It just keeps going.
Yeah.
It was like I moved on after having my first child and getting pregnant with my second. I We had some big layoffs coming yet again at that organization and chose to move another direction, and was experiencing the interview process while doing maternity leave and all the things, and landed a wonderful opportunity again. And I think, if it weren't for the leader that I went to go and work for and really trying to emulate the level of calm and ease and, empathy and sincerity that this individual instilled in our team, like that was what I wanted to go and learn from. And that was certainly what I got in the first year and a half. And then, we fast forwarded long enough that now we're at the point of both the pandemic hitting and some upcoming retirements that we knew were going to happen, but they got moved up due to the pandemic. And we were faced in an opportunity to have to, navigate, again, a shift in leadership at the top. So the top of our organization, we had two pretty dominant individuals that were leading the org announce their retirement at the same time, as we also were going, how do we shift an organization into a fully remote setting with no level of security? And we happened to be on a college campus, and that college campus had to fully shut down. It was a little different than businesses at the time. And so we had to quickly say bye to everyone in person and commit to a full year where we knew for a fact we weren't coming back. And so again, just the constant upheaval and working through forming a team, creating a strategy. At the same time, George Floyd and all of the DEI impact was happening and wrestling across our country and the globe. And we were faced in a pandemic, major shifts in leadership, and trying to navigate a volatile and really stressful moment in time where we had to look at one another without being able to be with one another and work through creating a sense of where we're headed and a vision for how to get through it and where to go. So, I mean, you can see a pattern here. It hasn't stopped. Like, that is the norm. It seems like where I go, this level of craze continues to follow. And so you can see where my perspective probably comes into play, is like, this is what we can consider. This is what we know is going to happen.
Yes.
Can't surprise me anymore. I'm rarely surprised, and I expect it. And I think that it's not from a place of negativity, but I know that anytime I get on a call or I get on an email or I get on a meeting, that something could shift. And people are going to need to lean on people. And I've learned from other leaders I've worked with and opportunities that I've lived through that you've got to find a way to, even though on the inside you feel like a volcano is about to erupt and you don't know how to react, you've got to put on a face to showcase it's going to be okay, because it always ends up being okay and we can get through it. So it's a level of stability that I seek, but it's certainly not something that's come easy.
Well, and it's exactly why we titled this episode Leading Without a Map, because you've done that over and over. You've had to find vision when it isn't given to you. You've had to course correct really quickly. And there's so much in your story that I want to unpack, but I want to go back to the uh-oh moment of the first situation early in your career.
Yeah.
It really jumps out to me, Kate, because it's powerful. You decided to start creating in that moment. You weren't a victim of your circumstances. Think about I think about all the times when I'm like, well, didn't see this coming. And it's like, oh shit. But you leaned in that moment rather than waiting in that moment.
Yeah. I think back, I mentioned that the recession was happening, and we can associate that recession with negativity all the time. In fact, that I feel like everyone's brings that time frame up, and at least in the United States, they bring up that moment in time as something that was associated with a lot of negativity or something bad. And it certainly was rooted in a lot of impactful moments that weren't necessarily feeling positive at the time, for sure. But I got to enter the workforce at a moment in time where I mentioned you had experts, you had individuals that had been masters of their roles, willing to step down and consider where they could create impact regardless of pay regardless of ego. And that's the environment I got to start the workforce in. And I learned from that. And those people stick with me. I mean, they still shine. I was fortunate enough to land in a recruiting position early on in my time and career, which allowed me to be on a phone or we didn't have Teams at the time. That was kind of a video call was quite innovative at the time when we were there. But I had the opportunity to speak to a lot of people going through really tough scenarios and not being able to know where the next paycheck was going to come from to provide for their family. And a lot of times these were individuals, like I said, that were really well-to-do, that were highly educated and experts in their field, willing to come down, put all of those things aside and accept the current scenario, knowing that it was going to be okay if they could just get that thing to happen, right? Like if I could just get in there and show what I can deliver, when we get through this economic moment, I know it's going to be okay. And I learned from that attitude early on. And I think it shaped how I reacted. I mean, I was given a luxury to be able to have a role in the time where people had to fight for an opportunity for an interview. My role consisted of creating opportunities for individuals who otherwise wouldn't have had one. And it grounded me in who I was and how I thought about work. And I really feel like it shaped how I approached the scenario. Like, put your boots back on, roll up those sleeves and start making it happen again. You cannot let yourself become a victim. You have to go out there and move the step forward. And, I think it was just indicative of how I showed up. It's like, just keep taking the next step. What's the next step? It doesn't have to change the whole world here. We just have to make a next step. What's that going to be? How do you make that happen?
Yeah. Yeah. Not waiting for someone else to tell you, but start creating what you want. The best way to predict the future is to create it. That's what I hear in that example. I also hear the leading through the trickle down of uncertainty, because there's this emotional challenge where you're also trying to create stability for others as a leader when you don't feel stable. And I heard you say, like, you were really struggling, but you had to be really intentional about how to show up in those moments. But you didn't want to be fake.
Right. Yeah. Gosh, I think you have to know yourself. You have to be able to share when you are showing up and this is really a difficult moment. You have to be willing to go there. Vulnerability is key, but you have a responsibility. Without title aside, like, I think everybody has a responsibility to know that people are watching and there's someone looking to you at all times, regardless of who it is. And, I think a lot of power can come from how you choose to react and what you choose to show. I think vulnerability is key to that, balanced equally with the attitude, the mindset that you can create and set forward for somebody else. And that's not to say I don't sit home and find my people and need to fall apart and still like vent and let it all out. But I know that I need to be able to show up for those that are watching. I need to be able to do that on behalf of an organization that I'm, working for or what I believe in. And that will allow us to at least know that, like, okay, we've got something to, set our hat on and start to work towards and see a light for. Mindset to me matters. Like, mindset is very important here. And when it comes with change, it's the foundation. It's your mindset and how you choose to show up and start your day and choose to approach a scenario. That matters deeply. But I think resilience is really key.
Yes.
Like, resilience within that mindset is really important. Mindset in change often is going to showcase how you're able to navigate a situation and how quickly you can recover from a shift or a push on the other side. But resilience to me is really, it's more like the capacity to continuously thrive amid constant disruption. Like, to me, it's the thing that you've got to gain a skill in to do this well. And I don't think you can do it easily without really taking time to think about how you can grow resilience and work through that. And it starts with the mindset.
Well, and it's why it's important at times to let people struggle. We oftentimes just try to swoop in and talk people out of how they're feeling. Let them sit in the discomfort. Adversity introduces us to ourselves every time. But we often want to, and I know, like as a parent, like I think about all the times I tried to protect my daughter from feeling really negative. But you know what? That's exactly what she needed to feel to grow and learn through that situation. And it's the same thing with our teams. So I love you highlighting those two anchors, mindset and resilience. They go hand in hand. It definitely takes both. How have you developed that within your team? I suspect, given your experiences, you can spot resilience quickly, but you can also probably spot people falling into victim mode really quickly, and that must drive you crazy.
I always could work on more patience. As with many, right? I do. I mean, I realize that having been dealt the cards that I've been dealt personally and professionally, that I am likely in a position now where I'm going to maneuver through change at a quicker pace than a lot of other individuals. And there are some that are going to move with me at the same pace or right at my tailwinds, or sometimes I'm riding in their tailwind. But teams are made up of a lot of diverse backgrounds, experiences, and individuals that bring their own level of where they're at with their ability to maneuver through change, circumstances, situations, just based on what has happened in their own world and what they've been exposed to. And so, again, I feel like I've just had the opportunity to work with a lot of different types of people and a lot of different organizations with different values, different cultures, different norms. And it has allowed me to have maybe a stronger sense for where people are at in navigating through this constant shifting world that we sit within. And so I utilize tools. Like, it's not like I've become a mastermind. I use resources to my benefit as a starting point. I believe that as a leader, if we're leading teams or working alongside others, having a good understanding of people's preferences early on, understanding and utilizing results from different assessments, whatever they may be, to understand personality traits and preference styles and things like that can be really helpful and be leveraged in moments where we then now have to lean on those insights to be able to drive effective conversations. So I don't do this just by making it up or looking at all times, but I certainly have a desire to typically start from a place of, okay, what can I learn about someone when we are forming a working relationship and they're starting either on my team or I'm going to be working on a project with them? And how can we kind of start there? But then a lot of it comes from just having experience of navigating through and having lived the different outcomes of folks that can get there quick and a lot of folks that often remain laggards, or they're certainly not the early adopters and potentially will fall victim. And I think generational impact comes into play. I think, again, like I said, previous experiences that they've had personally and professionally come into play deeply on whether someone will be able to make a decision to work through it. And having the ability to be, candid, transparent.
Yeah.
I come from a strong belief of our good Brene Brown, that clear is kind. And, and I often have to be messenger of messages that individuals don't want to hear, but I have to tell them because that's the right thing to do. And how they choose to navigate or how those messages or moments are then reacted to is not something that I have to take, but I can watch, I can observe, and I can offer opportunity to help them work through it and empathize because I've probably been there at some point in my career, or I've been in a room with someone who has also had a similar experience. And so if I can't necessarily help them get through it as easily or as smoothly as I would prefer, I certainly can listen and start from a place of empathy and understanding, knowing that I've had to be the messenger. And I know, hopefully, from a good starting foundation, what you likely need in this moment. And I lean on those things.
It's so good. There's so much personal responsibility in your message, which I so appreciate. I mean, that's where it starts. That's where leadership always starts. I suspect that there are people listening who might be feeling like, yes, I am doing what I can, but doesn't my organization have a responsibility to share a clear vision? Doesn't my leader have a responsibility to cast a vision strategy? What do you think about that?
Listeners probably didn't see my reaction, but I sighed. I think you're spot on. I think the easy button is to say,
it wasn't given to me.
Yeah, it wasn't given to me, or my leader didn't tell me what the overall goal or the visions or priorities were. So I'm just waiting, or why haven't I gotten something? And the truth is, I guess the way I see it is, organizations are made up of people. And people are human. And a lot in organizations is happening at the same time. Our executives are dealing with a workload that at times can be unimaginable for many, and we'll never see it or know it. And they're navigating, mitigating major risks for the organization. They're navigating quite uncertainty and situations and things, again, that oftentimes as you go further down the rung, like we will never even understand or know occurred or was on their plate. And I think having perspective to see organizations not as this big, mighty answer to all the problems, but to see it as being driven by humans and led by humans,
right,
who are people that are faced with a lot of challenge at the same time, like that can create a level of perspective that's helpful to navigate. I also think, to your comment around, like, why didn't a leader give me this information, or they didn't show the vision or cast me my priorities. I hear that all the time in my work from individuals saying, well, you didn't tell me what my goals were. Well, I'm not supposed to. I really think that that's an expectation that's unclear for many. And again, it might be part of a story we've believed, but it's not the reality. There is so much opportunity and power in forming the goals alongside or on your own, but alongside leadership, bringing forward where you see your role, fitting into what you believe are the priorities. Just the moments that come from taking a second to think about not waiting and instead trying to form a path or a direction is so meaningful, and it creates so much impact. And I think we've often gotten stuck in this belief that we're supposed to wait for it to come to us. And having a longer part of my career focused on career development conversations and coaching and growth, I see it as just as similar as, like, no one's going to come to you begging you to take this amazing opportunity. You got to go after it. You got to form it yourself. And seeing a vision and being going after, like, whether it's being a part of a more strategic effort, getting your hands in on a big project, or aligning to something in the moment of uncertainty, you have a choice to do that. And you can either play victim and wait and probably be missed and pushed aside, or you can insert and find a way to create that moment and that opportunity. I feel like, there is such an opportunity that's missed in those moments of waiting that could literally change the role at any given point and change your path. So it's just seeing it differently and owning that responsibility of yourself, because you're the one that stays with you throughout your career. Everyone else is going to come and go, but you get to decide kind of how it gets shaped and molded, and have this cool, neat opportunity to create and inform how it starts to show up.
Yes. Yes. It's so empowering.
It is. And in moments where you can't control the change and the chaos, like lean into yourself. Because I tend to believe that if you've got to bet on someone, betting on yourself's probably the best option, right? And showing up in that way creates opportunity for yourself, even if it's not a promotion or more money or, that dream job. Like there's something rooted in owning this on your own that you can learn and maneuver something in your path every single time. Like choose to see the good and find the goodness even in chaos and negativity. Yeah. And I promise you, the way it unfolds, maybe not right away, but the way it unfolds later and in your story, it will all make sense. But you've got to play your own character. You've got to own that role and not wait for somebody to do that for you.
Or look outside of yourself for the answers. What do you want? Trust your point of view, your perspective. You are where you are. It is purposeful. What do you see? Yeah, I appreciated how you define your next right step. You talked about that multiple times. Just do something.
Yeah.
What's the next thing that I could do here to get momentum?
Yeah. It's so easy to get overwhelmed. I hear that often. I hear that so often. Kate, you can see the vision so much faster than I can. Or, gosh, you think big in the strategy and see all the ways the pieces and parts fit together, and I can't do those things. That is an observation. It doesn't mean that's true, for one. And two, really the only thing I'm trying to do on a day-to-day basis is make it to the next hour. Yeah. And so the only way I can do that is to keep putting one foot in front of the other and focus on the next right thing. What's the next step? Not the ultimate step. Sure, maybe for some, you can see it quick or you see the end, have the end in mind and can roll it all back and put it together. And that's a strength for some and not for everyone. That's okay. That does not mean you can't do it and you can't be a part of it. You can't have impact in that. All we all have to do is focus on what is the next right step. Maybe even take right out of it. What is the next step? What is the next step? And each step keeps moving the needle further and further down the road. And it also creates a sense of less overwhelm. And if we can create calm and not feel completely stressed, burdened, and overwhelmed by the chaos, the change, the pivots that come our way because we're focused on the next step, that is power. That is power.
Damn, it's so good. Well, because the world is unsteady right now. So the question for all of our listeners, for me, where in your life are you waiting for stability that may never come? What is the next thing? What is something that you could do in that area to bet on yourself? Yeah, when the ground feels shaky, not waiting for someone else to steady it, decide to keep going for you.
Yeah.
For you.
You just have to keep showing up, right? And bet on yourself. You don't have to do it perfect. And I think that's the last thing I would emphasize there is I think we put a lot of ownership on our individual selves to show up in this way that's based on perfection and it being done perfectly in the right way at the right moment with the right words and the right visuals and all the things are just lining up as this. It goes right back to our earlier comments around we've set a story up in our minds of what things are supposed to be like. And we don't have to have it perfect. It doesn't have to be done well, but we should celebrate when we take each step. Honestly, if you can start your day, looking at just what you need to do today, what's the one thing I've got to achieve for this day to be great and move the step in the right direction. When you end that day, or maybe it's gotten pushed to tomorrow because you've got to pivot, whenever you end the day, we need to all celebrate We survived another moment. We did it again. We took another step. And I don't think we do that enough. We put so much pressure on ourselves to figure it out and have it all perfect and do it in a way that like is easy to criticize other individuals for not, giving us what we need or providing all of the solutions and answers up front. And then we take it on ourselves to say like, well, I didn't show up the way I wanted to show up, or I wasn't able to, navigate a whole strategic plan in one day or something like that. And it's just, come on. You're like, again, we're all human and nobody has that expectation other than yourself. And it needs to be celebrated when you're able to find the next thing, achieve that next right step, that next step, and celebrate it, because that's giving yourself that confidence, that stability, that feeling of like, I've got this. Whether everything around me is in chaos and tornadoes, I can continue to show up. I can take another step forward. I can lead from a place of empathy. I can provide a level of stability because of how I've chosen to navigate it. And I know that that will ripple. And if it doesn't ripple for anyone other than myself, that's still a win, and that should be championed and celebrated.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, this is the greatest pep talk I didn't know I needed.
Oh my gosh.
It's such a good reminder that it's up to me, and that it's not about having the map. It's about moving forward when the path isn't clear.
There is no map.
Trusting myself enough. Yeah.
Throw out the map.
Throw out the map and stop expecting. And we don't want that anyways. I loved it when you said, like, when someone says, you didn't tell me what my goals are, like, that's not my job. And do you really want me to? I don't want anybody telling me what to do.
No, think about that statement. Think about it and put it in another scenario. Like,
right.
Human behavior doesn't want to be told. We want to create, we want to develop, we want to be a part of it. We want to drive it. And you used the word creativity earlier as well. And to me, it's like, if we're being told what we have to do, we didn't have a choice. And it stifles our ability to be creative. It stifles the ability to see what unique opportunity came from something I didn't see coming. And it pushes us to operate in a closed off way. I think when you are able to like throw it all out and create those moments for yourself and the opportunities to connect with others and, navigate it with uncertainty in front of you, that's when it's like, oh my gosh, keep your eyes open, your ears peeled, because something's going to happen. You're going to get through it better than you thought. You're going to chart a path you didn't know you could chart. You're going to gain a skill you never saw coming, or you're going to meet somebody that's going to change your life.
Yeah, life responds. It's why life favors the bold, all of those.
Yeah.
Pithy quotes. Yes.
Yeah.
When you show up, life responds.
It does.
Oh my gosh. Such good reminders. Thank you.
Oh my gosh. No, it is. I mean, as we end a season, or, you get to the end of a year or the end of a season, the end of a month, and you're looking at like, okay, or the end of a day, like we talked about, like
the end of an hour.
The end of an hour, like the end of a minute. I mean, choose your destiny, whatever that looks like. But gosh, it's important to like give yourself a bit more grace and give others around you a bit more grace. Remember, we're all human. And I think that we put a lot of pressure on others to figure it out for us and to give us opportunity. But you've got all of what you need. It's right in front of you. It's right with who you are. And I do believe that you're never given something you can't navigate through or handle. And the way it shows up later, it'll all make sense. There's a lot of power there. And then it provides a sense of ease and a sense of calm when the next challenge or the next thing comes. It's not that it doesn't hit you. It's not that you're not impacted by it, but how you respond to it, it creates a different feeling. It feels, if I'm in control of how I show up, if I'm in control of how I react and how I navigate this path and how I kind of, make a decision to decide to keep going and what's going to come of it, that is calm. That is stability. And the only person that can operate that is yourself. So
That's great. Thank you so much for showing up with your stories, with your big old heart, and providing all these important reminders, these empowering reminders to trust yourself.
I say it to myself too. So it's not like I'm locked in here with all this.
Yeah, it's a work in progress, isn't it? But like you said, like the more you experience those things with grace and openness, the more equipped you are to handle the next challenge that life has.
Yeah. And lean on your people. It's not, although we can control the things and set a destiny for ourselves and get creative and write our own ship kind of thing. It's not done without people. And, having trusted people in our corner and reaching out when you need something, not being, unwilling to ask for help or take the advice or go for a drink or do what you need to do to just reset when you're in those moments. And the power of people comes into play here deeply. And so it's always a good reminder. It's a good reminder for myself as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I so appreciate you. I'm so grateful for your story and your insight. If our listeners want to connect with you, Kate, where is the best place to find you?
Oh, thank you. And thank you for the opportunity. Like I said, it's such a gift to be able to come on and just share time with you. So thank you for the opportunity. And listeners can find me, probably the best place is on LinkedIn. I'm on there enough that between work and personal, it's a great place for me to start a network or build from. So start there. That's always a good spot.
Awesome. Thank you, my friend.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode. Let's connect to go a bit deeper. How can I help you? Looking for an executive coach, a facilitator for a team or leader engagement, or a high energy, heartfelt speaker? Learn more and connect with me through our website at abundantempowerment.com. I look forward to co-creating something magical with you.